I'm getting. I've got my position on. Are you Batmaning? I can't look at you. An answer would be great.
Yes, I have.
Good, great. Okay, then we're ready, man, for Comic Book Karaoke Season 2. We are going to buff, we're going to Pam, I know the things I said, and we're going to definitely power, man, because this is Comic Book Karaoke on steroids.
Absolutely, we're taking it to the next level in Season 2 of Comic Book Karaoke, and that's also CBK to you with socio-political topics about pop and geek culture.
We're going to go so far, man. The thing is that before, obviously in Season 1, we had the COVID restrictions. The world knows this, the world understands it, but we are going out, man. We're going LARPing, we're going music, we're going filmation, we're going, man, there's so many places that we're going. I mean, look at us right now. We're going to introduce our setting, the Radium Bar, in just a moment. We've promised you to take it to the
next level.
It's Comic Book Karaoke Season 2. Let's go. Yeah, that's it. I mean, could we have found a better place? No, we would have if there was one. 2022 was a big year for Comic Book Karaoke. We released our first season. We were streamed across South African digital platform DigiTV. We were invited to run a panel discussion at the return of ComicCon Africa. Jonathan Harding, Michelle Ayden, Kylie Cox, Michelle Huxtable, and Theri Morulane came together to break a new boundary in geek and fandom journalism with South Africa's first geek-based talk show. This year at ComicCon Africa, the team wasted no time in facing the mobs and getting some cool interviews with some very cool people.
The hell are you supposed to be? I'm vengeance.
Chris here at ComicCon Africa with Paul, who is our own local artist. Brave, like here you've broken through, man. People are like, oh, can you live your life? Because it's so fantastic. Like you're doing, check it out here. So Batman comics, like it's all about labels, man. It's all about labels. Like, do you feel like people? This sounds terrible, but it's true. Did people start taking notice and you be like, okay, hi friends, like this is my husband here. He works for DC. Is that okay?
No. My wife actually knows nothing about comics and can't really, brag about me to her friends either. And my friends are just see me as another one of the guys. But the other people who know me in the comic book industry, there's definitely a change in how they relate to me, how they act around me and stuff like that. It's all, the more you draw things that you don't like, the more you actually become accustomed to drawing things, like various things. I would draw machinery, I would draw people in PPE going into mines. I draw all manner of things that I hated. I mean, I don't like drawing cars, so you draw cars more and more and more to get better at it and you start liking it. And that's just how you grow.
Is there a favorite story that you've told that just like it's like one of your number ones?
Yes, there is. It's been sold out here, but it's in this book over here. It's a dark multiverse, and they've basically allowed me to design a lot of the monsters and creatures and suits and redesign some characters as well. And funnily enough, one of the redesigns of a character here that I did was the final night. And I don't know if you know Todd McFarlane Toys. They've actually taken that and made it into a figurine. So that was quite a huge highlight for me, as well as the comic being amazing and up my alley with fantasy and dragons and things like that. I love that one so much.
I'm standing with Martin from Soviet Premium Collectives, and Martin, I just want to know, with this stand-up and like this whole creation here, I had a little secret that all of these were handmade.
Yeah, 100%. So the companies are called XM Studios and Queen Studios. They're Singaporean and Asian companies. So we have the sole distribution rights in Africa. And come through this side, this is our DC side. So everything there was Marvel and movie based. This is all DC Comics. You can see on the left here we've got the Samurai series. This is my favorite range of statues that they've created to date. So XM came up with the concept of doing a samurai range of statues on the Batman side. So you can see we've got Batman, the Joker, Harley Quinn, Penguin, Nightwing, and they're doing all of the Batman characters in the samurai style.
Hello ComicCon Africa, my name is Theri and I'm with Avandu Studios. This is Rodney and I'm also standing with Salim, and they basically make comics about the African mythological narratives in a modern setting.
Since Maasai Samurai, what you're trying to capitalize on is actually empirical evidence-backed information of interaction between East Africa, the East Africa part of Africa, and Asia. Up to 9th century, there's already a lot of interaction happening in that space. And so we use that as a backdrop of the story that we want to write about an interaction between a lost samurai on the African continent and a Maasai who's lost in terms of philosophy, in terms of a character. I can't give out too much because I want you to read the book. So he's going through an internal conflict, and together they have to work together. What they don't realize is that there's an imminent disaster that's about to happen globally.
When you read 110 to 115,000 comic books, a lot of it sticks, and then some of it, someone will ask me a question, and I was like, boy, I know I read that, and I have very little recollection of it, which tells me that it was kind of a middle-of-the-road comic. I'm Bob Rital, and I collect comic books and related ephemera. I have somewhere north of 120,000 at this point. That's not the number in the record book, but I'm working on transferring my stuff to a new database, and I'll be updating my Guinness number, hopefully by the end of the year. When I was a little kid, entertainment options were very limited for me as an 8-year-old. I would cut the characters out of my comic books to make little paper dolls, and I would have adventures, and Spider-Man would fight Daredevil, and I would do all kinds of fun things with them. And of course, I destroyed a lot of my earliest comics by cutting the characters out of my comic books. And you think that comics are only superheroes, they're not. And if you're interested at all in the medium, and not everybody is, but just that the combination of art and story, I just love it. And some people that's going to click with, and other people it won't, but it's really worth trying out a comic book, and it doesn't have to be a superhero comic book. You can go to a comic book store and get all different kinds of things.
I'm just generally ignorant, not on purpose, but the thing is that, we become so focused on like 4 things in our life that do a bit of research. You were sitting here for 92 years, as mentioned before, but that's this massive feat. I honestly thought that the bar was moved. Like, I assumed that, let's say 92 years ago, it would have been somewhere in the central side of, where Joburg started to populate, wherever it may be, and it's kind of to the side as well. And you haven't actually moved, or that's true, right?
Yes, the Radium never moved. No. It is the oldest bar restaurant in business in Johannesburg. We also had, I don't know if you can see that little there's some little sort of flag marks on the walls here. We had flags of different countries taking part in the World Cup. And one time there were 4 Germans, 2 couples, and the lady phoned me the day before and said, these people, they're leaving South Africa tomorrow, but or 2 days time, but they want to go to the Radium. They want to go to the Radium before they go.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Like human buildings.
Yeah, they got to come.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, so I'll meet them here 11 o'clock in the morning. Well, they came in, and the one guy had a Deutschland shirt on, and he walked in the place, and he went, the Radium, you know? And he had his camera. It was incredible, and he was amazing. And the 4 of them sat at a table in the bar area.
Yeah.
They had a starter, they had a main course, and they shared everything, and they had the time of their lives. And now they can go back to Germany saying they've been to the Radium Beer Hall.
That's right. So that's very cool. There is some historical drama, you know what I'm saying to you, where in terms of like multicultural representation, there's something there's a sign somewhere here that says, what, leave your politics behind. Is that?
Says what?
It says leave your politics outside. Yeah. So I mean, like that kind of staunch. Okay, tell me about that. Like so when illegal booze is being sold to your African or your black customers.
Well, it was one of the first multiracial bars in Johannesburg, way back when. And an American visitor once asked me, how did you let people of color into the Radium?
Yeah.
You know? Well, it was long before my time.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe they sneak people into the back, you know.
Yeah.
And I asked the previous owner, he wasn't the owner then either.
Yeah.
And he said, no. They had a deal with the cops.
Right.
So you see, nothing's changed because now we have a deal with the cops to get off you have to bribe them to get off your traffic light.
Yeah, deal with the cops in South Africa.
But the other thing is that a lot of really well-known people have been here. You know? A lot of politicians. I know Sir Bob Geldof's been here. You know?
Right,
and a lot of people like that come here. So I mean,
Well, that's my thing. Is my next question was about because we like to find our herd. You know, the type of people that come here, are they like-minded? In the sense that, I mean, you propagate tolerance. That's the history, you know, and kind of like that camaraderie around. Do you find that kind of state of mind comes in here, or have you had problems in the past?
We've had very few problems. I mean, you know, people that come and say it's not a young audience. You know? It's a different audience for different bands. I said it's a listening audience who care about music. You know? I've got over the years I've built up a database of you know, people who I know certain music they like, and then I promote it that way. And also the bands, social media a lot. You know, and also I'm quite well connected with different radio stations and that sort of stuff. So we don't have much problem. Obviously, you do have the odd person who's had too much liquor, but then you know we just ask them to leave, you know, if they get out of hand. But it doesn't happen that often. That can happen anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, well that's really cool. I'm like that's the best kind of review you can get is when someone speaks this, and I really am. I can talk for days. Like so the thing is that this is super great. Thanks for having us. Amazing. Thank you.
In terms of like stories behind it, and like you said, there's the Holy Grails, which, you know, we want to obviously test. We want to test how much, I want to, obviously everyone knows I'm a TMNT fan, but the thing is that I often find myself saying, for real, I mean, I love my family unconditionally. So I say, would I be able to give up my entire TMNT collection to never see a TMNT figure again? I'm saying never hold it. Should, let's say, I'd have that almost like Saw, you know, movie Saw decision. And I'm going to be like, and the thing is, obviously with our family, but I kind of struggle for a second thinking, oh, you horrible human being, because it means so much more than what I think. So we say that the sum is always bigger than the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts, you know. And so these things have stories and, you know, connections and stuff like that. And for you, what would be? Have you been tested before in terms of your wives? Look, wives are scary, man.
Wives are scary, but you know, so people would come up to me and ask me why I'm selling. Now, there was one particular story where this lady was, as you say, we do have lady collectors as well. And here in the UAE, I have to say the Emirati ladies, these are the ladies that come dressed completely with the abayas.
Right.
You know, they're very keen on horror and vampires and things like that, which is kind of really strange because they're kind of like secret people because you can't even see them, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, so this lady was asking me, you know, why are you selling? All this is like amazing. And I told her the story that my wife wanted to sell. Now, she was actually with me that day. She was helping me to sell. She doesn't often come, but when she does, she really does help me out. And anyway, so I leaned across, I said, and I pointed to her, she's making me sell like this because, you know, and he leaned in and said, how about you dump her, marry me, and we keep the collection?
Right.
It's hilarious. I bought this recently. This is a Japanese kind of manga type,
Very
but
cool.
it's signed by Mark Hamill. Ironically, this comes from the private collection of David Angelo Roman, who is one of the Rick and Morty artists.
Yeah,
that's why it says here. It says, "Hey, Dave, force yourself." Yeah, and then Mark Hamill, and you know, Hamill and obviously Harrison Ford are kind of the only two that are left out of what I call the big guns. You know, with Carrie Fisher obviously passing away. Yeah. So, which actually I want to tell you. Can I tell you a story about this one? Now, this is a modern comic. It's Civil War II, and it's a Phil Noto variant cover. Now, this one is signed. I'll explain in a minute. But in here, this is where the Hulk, you know, admits to killing Hawkeye. Okay. Wow. But that's not. First of all, I actually went to a London convention, and I got Jeremy Renner to sign it.
Wow.
Now, Jeremy Renner plays Hawkeye. Yeah. Okay. And sorry, I think I might be getting the story wrong in that I think Hawkeye shoots the Hulk or something like this. That I didn't read the book, by the way. But anyway, I got Jeremy Renner to write a quote here that said he asked me to do it. Wow. As in to shoot or kill, you know, the Hulk. And then he signs it. And it was funny because when he signed it, I got a picture of him looking at this thing because these actors, you know, they play the character, but they don't necessarily go in deep with their character. Yeah. Anyway, a few years later, I met Michael Bendis, who is the writer of this. So I told him this story that I got Jeremy Renner to say he asked me to do it. Yeah. And he wrote on the bottom, no, he didn't. I did, because he's the writer of the book. So actually one year I met a guy called Tony. I forget his surname. But Tony used to work at Stanley Collectibles. In fact, they came to Dubai. Stan didn't, but the collectibles people came to Dubai, and I bought a load of stuff there from him. And then after that, I actually then got in touch with him and asked him if Stan could do a couple of things just for me. Yeah. Now again, this is unique stuff that I'm sure he's done before, but the fact that I know Tony worked for Stan, and that Stan sat down somewhere and did this for me, for me makes it extra special.
Of course.
So I've got a few things here I can show you. There's three of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, one is the usual one. And by the way, then after it was done, Tony got them CGC'd as well. So these were raw comics. Now, this one, he's done a few like this, but for me, I just love it, and it's the usual stick man of Stan Lee.
That's so nice.
And you know, signature, and there it is. It got a 9.6, but I don't care. You know, you talk about, am I ever going to sell anything? I ain't ever going to sell this. I mean, when I look online, you know, there's people selling them for $10, $20, $30, $40,000. I don't know.
Oh my word.
I've still got how much I paid for it. I paid $1,500.
Oh my word.
So this has gone up tremendously in value. So that's one. The other one that I actually bought from his stand in Dubai
is this one, and I love it because I don't know whether you can see that, but it's got the "with great power comes great responsibility" quote.
Holy crap!
And also Humberto Ramos was there as well. So, and this is the Ramos, cover. You've got Ramos to sign it, and you've got Stan here signing it with his quote.
That's
again, 9.6. This is immense, Forget the fact that the guy's not here anymore. There's not that many. And whenever you get a Stanley signature with Excelsior or whatever, they go for a lot of money. The last one I want to show you, which is in itself a comic that is very valuable, but this one, I asked Tony to ask Stan to do things how I wanted it. I wanted Stan to write the word Excelsior, ... Nuff said. Okay? And sign it. Which he did. And I got a picture here of Stan doing it. Where they cover it and they put just the holes so he knows where to sign. And there it is. This is the Ditko variant, with Excelsior, Nuff said here, and Stanley there. I just want to maybe tell you about this one. I don't know. Have you ever seen this? I don't know whether you can see that.
I can see Superman and
a couple of kids and what have you. Okay. So this is probably one of the rarest, well, certainly Superman, but it's certainly one of the rarest comics in the world. They only produced about 200 of them. Why? It was for a bar mitzvah. It was for a Jewish family whose son was turning 13, and the father contacted DC and said, "Could you make a comic so that I could give away as a goodie bag?"
No.
And they produced this story. It was a promotional issue. It only had 8 pages, and the 2 kids on the front here. One is a friend of his, and one is the son of the guy that asked DC to produce it. But a lot of these comics got ruined. A lot of comics weren't even taken. And I think I'm right in saying that Roy Thomas. It's called the Bradman comic. If you Google it, there's like a YouTube 5-minute video of Roy Thomas talking about it, and he managed to acquire one. Basically, I think he stole it from the DC vaults, which is pretty much what he says without saying.
As you say,
small amount as you see it, but then over the years you look and you think, goodness me. How much money have you spent?
What have I done?
My wife never knows the exact value. She'll kill me, But that's the beauty. They hold value. They go down, but they also go up, just like any commodity.
That's it, Well, I mean, I'm going to leave it at that.
I am obsessed with anime. I can barely remember a time when I was not haunted by my passion for this specific Japanese pop art. Hi, my name is Wally, and I'm the creator of Siriwa 2, one of South Africa's very first Afro manga. And I'm on a journey to make you as hooked on my stories as I am possessed by anime. So to do this, I need to make you aware of the creators like myself working their butts off to make these stories, our stories, your stories, something you would be obsessed over too.
I'm Clyde Beach. I'm a sequential visual artist, which means I do anything with pictures and story. I'm also the co-founder of Quasi Comics, one of South Africa's first black superhero comics.
My name is Mo. Well, that's the pen name I operate under, Mo Lycan. I'm a writer-illustrator operating out of Johannesburg. I work mostly in comics and animation, doing whatever they'll pay me to do. And yeah.
I'm T.S. Bondi. Everyone knows me by that name. And I'm a manga artist, a comic book artist here and there, storyboard and character designer. And yeah, I'm the creator of the infamous Paradox.
My name is Bill Masuku. I am a comic book artist and writer from Zimbabwe. Creator of Razorman, Chokoloshe Hunters, Captain South Africa, Welcome to Dead World, and having storyboarded for Netflix, Disney and Kongali, I'm happy to be on this podcast, interview, chat. It's always good to chat to you and other creators.
Why did you choose to become an artist? What draws you to your form of expressing yourself? Or basically, why do you do what you do?
So when I was a kid, when I was like 5 or 6, and people would ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up? Because that's what people always ask. I would just point at the TV screen and I was like, whatever that is, I want to do that. And then it was usually a Disney cartoon or some version of that playing. And then as I got older and they kept asking the question, the answer didn't really seem to change.
I think all people have a calling, not like sangomas, but like similar. A calling when they're very young to do what they need to do. You know, some people are really good at sports. Some people are great at talking. And then other people just have these fantastical ideas. And I fall into that last category. I don't think there were, in my living memory, I don't think there's any point where I wasn't thinking of stories. And so I don't want to say obsessed, but it's definitely in that vein of when I'm not thinking about anything at all, this is the easiest thing to do in the world.
So it's strange because I suppose I have a bit of a stubborn personality, and there's nothing else that I would be doing. From a young age, as a child, I was always drawing. I was always fascinated with cartoons. As a kid in primary school, I'd sneak in on the station in town because I used to have to travel, and there was a CNA, and I used to go stand in the back of that CNA and read all the comic books. I was always hungry for content. Superheroes specifically played a special part in my life and in the way I conduct my life, I suppose, as well. I had a bit of a hero complex when I was a kid. I even had a cape that I used to wear under my clothes, like a real story. My mom can tell you about that.
What keeps you motivated doing what you are doing? What makes you continue regardless of the possible struggles we face getting our stories out there?
When I get from here to here, when I'm able to think of something and then manifest it. I'm sure you know this feeling of holding the first volume of your book and being like, this, like a few weeks ago, this was just a really strong suggestion, and now it exists as a thing in reality. There's a very godlike feeling about creating something from nothing, and it's a little addictive to be like, yeah, I want to keep making this feeling. I want to keep making ideas because this is bringing me some sort of purpose.
When I see people picking up my story and that shock value that I see, you know, like it is a driving force. It is a motivating factor, you know, like when people go like, ah, damn, or someone actually quits reading my book because it's too intense. I mean, I'll be like, yeah, I'm on the right track. I'm going to keep doing more.
Many people in South Africa, or even Africa as a whole, might see the idea of African comic and African comic and African manga, or what some people might call a bonzo Afro manga, a ridiculous concept. The whole idea of Africa creating pop culture is beyond them. Where do you genuinely think that we are right now as a creative collective, and where do you think we are going?
In the last maybe 2-3 years, there have been so many announcements of, oh, this thing from Africa is now getting adapted into an anime series. Oh, this thing is getting a live action. Oh, this studio is making a thing from Africa. Everything from Iyano, Kizazimoto, Triggerfish working on Star Wars Visions, Disney and Kugali's Iwaju, Vortex Comics just sold Vanguard. I don't know to which company, but between HBO, Netflix, and a whole bunch of other service providers, we are in the silver age of people having ownership over that content. Because a lot of us grew up on TV, not necessarily books, right? Print media maybe took its time to get here, and we grew up mostly on SABC2, you know? You'd watch your Dragon Ball Z, you'd watch your Metabots, you'd watch your Speed Racer. And for us to now be in that conversation of, oh, we're making content that will be maybe on SABC2 one day, means that we're making the right steps.
I think it's that we're conditioned by the media that it's either westernized, which is American or British or UK or whatever, international, outside of our borders, content. We're conditioned to think of that only as content, as quality content. It's too far removed, or it's so far removed that your escapism leads you there and you're not looking at the quality that's right at your doorstep. And I'm not playing for someone to buy my content. I don't care what you do with your time. It's your money, it's your time, it's your entertainment investment. But you're missing out on quality that's and content that's right under your nose, that speaks directly to you and speaks like you.
I learned a lot, and I'm super grateful for those guys that helped me figure out my passion and where it's going, and basically introducing you to some of the creators, not all of them, that are out there producing stories for you guys to enjoy and make you more obsessed with the type of tales that we can tell within this country. Thank you for joining me on my journey, and I hope to make all of you proud and make Siriwa 2 one of the greatest stories you've ever read, ever.
Why are you here and why do you choose the beer hall?
So firstly, I have to say the Radium Beer Hall, to me, is like the episode Cheers. Cheers, the sitcom. So where you walk in and everybody knows your name.
All right.
And I'm actually not from South Africa. I'm from America, but I've been here 14 years.
Oh, wow.
This is one of the first places I've been. Incredibly welcoming, and I've never stopped coming.
It's a home away from home, basically.
Yes.
What about you, Jason?
Oh, why do I come here? Come here to drink. Like the bar counter, for example, comes from the Ferreirasdorp Hotel, which was during the 1922 miners' strike, and so there's a lot of stuff from Herman. I can't remember the guy's name. But Herman Charles Bosman was a writer and he used to come here, and they used to have bottles signed by him.
Right.
So there's a lot of history, and like they said far more eloquently than I can, is that there's a friendship here. When you walk in here, you always know somebody. You can always sit down and watch a sport and have an argument about the politics.
It's a very relaxed place, right? So you come in here, you'll notice we're on Leeuwarden in kind of an interesting area, let's put it that way. There's no security, it's open, because it's a welcoming place.
We just want to tell
There's that
you,
expression of what happens at the Radium stage.
Oh, okay.
But come visit us.
Yeah, we'll eat something like that.
It'll be a blast. You'll love it, and you will come back
on a Saturday night,
with your friends. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for this.
Thank you so much.